1952. Well, in 1952, the Carpenters was making $1.25 an hour, and no benefits or nothing. We went out on strike for 92 days for 50 cents for wages and 25 cents for 10 cents for vacation and 15 cents for health and welfare. And the contractor says, well, you're going to break us, we can't afford it. So we was on strike for 92 days. And what we done, we had what we called fair jobs. If the contractor agreed to pay whatever they settled for, they could work. And those that didn't, we had signs which says unfair contractors, you know, and we picketed them. Well, the carpenter that worked, he had to pay $5 a week into the picket fund. And the pickets got $1 a day for picketing. Oh, listen, $1 a day in them days bought a lot of bread and butter, I'll tell you. So at 92 days, so I was out on strike for 92 days before they settled it. And then in 1958, we was out. We went on strike for 2 weeks for the pension, and and some more money on the. I was an apprentice. I didn't work for the foreman or the superintendent. You were my carpenter. You're the guy who told me what to do and everything. And when he says, pick up my toolbox, we're going to move over here, I'd pick his toolbox up and move over there. And he was as Bobby Alvarado would say, my mentor. I mean, he was the guy who taught me everything, my carpenter.
So who was that guy?
Huh?
Did that change from job to job? Who was your boss?
Oh yeah, no. Every job you went, if you went to it, if you had a different carpenter to work with, he was your boss, and that went on for a while until things started to change. And then when things changed, when the apprentice said, "Well, hell with you, you pick up your own toolbox," you know.
So was an apprentice back then sort of like a butler, like a valet, like a servant?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's right. I mean, you done what you was told. Well, of course, we was raised that way to start interviews. What the difference, you've done all the work on the job. Until they started, I can't think now, can't think of what it is.
Subcontractor.
But yeah, subcontracting all the stuff out now. You know, in my day, when you done a big commercial job, it was all time and material. It wasn't bid, which was a big difference, you know. You come in there and you says, yeah, well, okay, I'll do the job. And the guy who was building would say, okay, how you want to do this? Well, we'll do it time. Okay, what's time and material? What time is, what's it going to cost me to pay a carpenter? What's it going to cost me to pay my help and for me to get? And for material, oh, that's fine, okay. So that's the way it worked. If time and material meant, and it was about, usually the contractor was usually satisfied with around 3 or 5% profit. You know, after everything was paid. So, but now, not today. Everything today is, well, I'll do it for 100,000. Yeah, but Frank over here said he would do it for 90. Okay, he goes back to Frank. Frank said he'd do it for 90. Well, you do it for? Maybe I'll do it for 85. I mean, that's the way it is today. Well, the tools are altogether different. They got cranes today to lift all the panels up, but we had to build a T-shore to raise the panels up. We've done everything by hand in those days. That's probably up until about, I would say 19 last time I worked in Burroughs Hall in the 60s, in the early 60s. That's when they started getting whoopies to do the heavy work.
But you guys did the heavy work.
Oh yeah, somebody had to do it. We got a 14-story building. We built T-shores, thousands of them to hold up, the pans, the concrete, and everything.
So this is really stupid. I'm sorry, but if you're going up 14 stories, how'd you get the frames up 14 stories?
On the T-shore.
Oh, okay.
Just lift them up, pour the one in, start in again, and go all the way around, go up to the next floor, and pull them up and get them all, hold them up and hold them in. Oh, we had sheep obviously to hold them in the bottom, so they wouldn't fall down.
Yeah. So back in '52, you didn't have any health and welfare coverage.
No, we had nothing. You had nothing.
So the 15 cents was just to build a fund?
That's what started the fund. Yeah, the 15 cents. And the contractors, they couldn't believe it. They said, well, we're all going to go broke. We can't afford it, But I will say one thing. Bartolini was the council secretary at that time. And I guess he had pretty good foresight. And I guess he knew that, that we're going to, need something.
Were the guys pretty united for the strike?
Ha! Don't you worry, brother.
Yeah. What happened if somebody crossed the picket line?
Well, it was whatever you felt you could do.
Yeah.
If you felt like you wanted to go. But I tell you one thing, there wasn't that many crossing the picket lines in them days. I ain't bragging or nothing, I ain't saying, but I went out in the field every day and I looked after the jobs. And if I found a job that was non-union, I'd put a picket on it right away. And I was very, very conscious of my stewards. And if anybody tried to give one of my stewards any bullshit or lay him off or anything, they had a hell of a time to do that with me, because that steward was my eye out there in that job, to watch that job. And we had stewards meetings once a month where we all got together, and the stewards, each steward had their say of what was going on in their job, and then that was up to the business agent, which would be me, to go out in that job and take care of it. Unless he called me up and said, Roy, he says, I've got a problem here. I got some non-union guys on the job. So I could go out there. And you see, in my days when I first started, I could go out on the job and I could shut a job down. I don't think I was a hard ass, but I love my union, and it's I'm just trying to put it in words.
Take your time.
As far as being a hard ass, I was no hard ass unless it was for my union. In 1979, I went to work for the district council as a director of organizing. In October, John Watts, who was our council secretary at that time, called me over, says, Roy, we're going to start an organizing program, and I want you to come over and be the head of organizer. And I said, John, I don't know shit about organizing. I said, for Christ's sake. He said, well, I'm not blowing any smoke up my ass now, but he says, Roy, he says, every agreement that comes in, I look at. And he says, since you've been a business agent 4 years, he says, you've signed up over 50 carpenters to agreements. And he says, that means that you've been out in the field, and And I think, I said, well, I don't know shit about organizing. Oh, yes, you do. Well, my job was to go to non-union jobs and try and organize them. And some jobs you didn't have any problem, some jobs you had them. John Motz, to me, he was quite a guy. I mean, he had his problems, like I say, but he was the instigator of starting the organizing, him and Bud Bryant. That if it hadn't been for them, we'd be in trouble today.